a very warm welcome and a good afternoon to all of you here. So, welcome to Terminal X Global Technologies Private Limited. Thank you to those who have joined us this afternoon. So, we will start right over here. We are not going to waste any time, respecting those who have made it on time. So, over to Rahul. We have Rahul from pre-sales, along with Mr. Abhi Joseph, the Managing Director of Terminal X, and myself, Clary Peter. We also have with us a few panelists who will be handling the question and answer session. So, over to Rahul.
Thank you, Clary Madam, for the introduction. Today, in this wonderful session, we are going to learn some amazing concepts like environment monitoring, room alert equipments, sensors, softwares associated to it. Before we begin, let me share some valuable insights of our company. Terminal X today is a one-stop solution for some of the latest fascinating and innovative products with value-added services for various kinds of infrastructure projects to system integrators. We have signed up with several large OEMs and startups and is continually in par with the latest technological innovations. Some of the avenues or the areas of interest where we contribute are artificial intelligence, vision science, EVAC systems, integrated audio, PA systems, IPPA, environment monitoring, sensors, paperless conference, video broadcasting, acoustic hailing, automation, displays, DC backup, pandemic management, access control, time attendance, parking management. So the webinar is divided in two sections. So the first half or the initial part mainly consists of the basics that covers the importance and the need of environment monitoring solutions. And the second is focused onto the product, the equipments, and the different assemblies of the room alert equipment. One more point I would like to highlight. So we encourage everyone to be a part of the polling session as well as to participate in the questionnaire series. Okay, there are amazing gift vouchers. So let's begin with the webinar. So before we start, let's consider an example. So here is a person, his name is Sachin. He's into IT business for a long period of time. Now, one fine day, he faced a downtime. And because of this downtime, there was a data loss. It gave him business loss. And at the same time, he lost his customers and profits. So he was desperately looking out for a solution. So he finally approached us, and we were able to guide him in a much better way. So let's start from the basics. If you have encountered with the word data, data is everywhere around us. Data is something that is where continuously we are surrounded by it. The air that we breathe, the temperature that we feel, the sound that we hear, whatever I'm trying to communicate, all these are a kind of data that we try to perceive and understand. So when this data is understood, it is collected in a central repository in our brain, and we try to analyze it subconsciously. And finally, we are able to take conscious decision. You can say much more practical decisions. So which helps us to arrive at good decision making, you can say that. So all living beings, human beings, all living creatures, they make use of data to arrive at better decision making. So, in a very similar fashion, don't we think our IT assets, if they are monitored, if they are continuously monitored by different temperature sensors, humidity sensors, airflow sensors, they will help us to give us best results, and ultimately our business is improved. So data driven solutions, it will help infrastructure or IT assets to be more agile and to take much more better decisions. So environment monitoring in short is to gather information about the surroundings, gather those data, and based on that we can take necessary actions. How environment monitoring is important today: it will help to improve uptime, optimizing the capacity utilization, increasing people productivity. So let's see some of the threats that are faced to the IT facility. So facilities where the expensive IT equipment operate, they must stay within a specific range of environmental condition. It's correct. Like how human beings are performed in a certain temperature range or certain equipment requires certain optimum conditions to perform. So IT equipment also must stay within those specific ranges. If it is not in that particular range, or if it is failed to respect that basic understanding, it can lead to catastrophic results. It can lead us to downtime. There is loss of business, there is loss of property, equipment, and there is ultimately no profits. So, what are the causes to the threats? So, we have temperature rise, we have smoke, humidity, room entry, power drains, spikes, condensations, floods, and overflows. Let's look at the facts and statistics that we have. 30% of the downtime is caused by environmental factors. 27% of data centers say downtime can cause, it can last from 1 to 2 3 days. Similarly, 59% of the data centers say it can last a minimum of half a day or more. 75% of small businesses, they don't have environmental monitoring at place. 40% of businesses close within a year after a major event, and 98% respondents, what they said, the way to eliminate such kind of IT environment or downtime is to have a kind of monitoring system that can help us to improve and to have a planned downtime. So we can always have a preventive and a proactive approach. That's correct. Don't wait until it's too late. The average downtime cost is approximately 4 to 5 crores. Prevention is the only way. So let's look at some of the preventive measures. So we can install monitors and sensors for immediate detection. We can automate multipath alert. Responsible staff can be alerted. We can set up some automatic shutdowns, or you can say remote shutdowns, scripted action responses. We can train our employees, our staff, so that they can, timely response can be given to the system. And finally, we can plan, we can test, analyze, and review for future prevention. So let's look at the polling part at this time. So we have covered with the basics, we have covered with the basic aspect, why environment monitoring is required, what is environment monitoring. So we can participate in the polling part. So there is a 30-second window for the polling. So let's look at the answers. How data is gathered from the surroundings or environment? Through sensors. What is environment monitoring? Gather information from surroundings, keep a record of information, monitor the information, and take action, and all of the above. That is the answer. What is the importance of environment monitoring? All of the above. It improves uptime, increased productivity, improvement in business. What are the common threats to IT assets that we have? All of the above. That is temperature, smoke, humidity, power drains, and spikes. What kind of approach one should take to avoid downtime? A preventive and proactive approach. So let's enter the next part, that is the product part. So AVTECH is one of the leading companies, or you can say a pioneer company, in introducing or developing such wonderful room environment monitoring solutions. So AVTECH Room Alert System, it's a combination of hardware and software solution that allows easy remote monitoring of the environment conditions in an IT computer room, data center, or other facility. So we have a combination of a hardware equipment and a software. Okay. And with this combination, we are able to understand the surrounding conditions, and necessary corrective actions are taken based on this combination. So what are the possible what are the things that this room alert equipment is able to measure, or it is able to gather? So we have temperature, we have power, we have humidity, flood, smoke, airflow, room entry, and many more. And the application part, it is mainly used at warehouse monitoring, cold storage, food and beverage, medical and pharmaceutical, residential, commercial real estate. So now let's look at the product. Okay. So the product consists of the sensors, the room alert equipment, and the device manager, that is the software. Now sensors are categorized further in two ways. We have real time based sensors. Okay. That is the part that we are going to look at first. So time based sensors. Digital temperature sensor. So one point, so most of the sensors, okay, the function is based on the name itself. So a digital temperature sensor. So digital temperature sensor, it is mainly used to measure the temperature of the surroundings. Okay. Next, we have a digital outdoor temperature sensor. So difference between a digital temperature sensor and an outdoor temperature sensor is that we can see an external covering or a coating that is given. So this coating, it helps to measure the outdoor temperature. Okay, it's a kind of a silicone coating so that external harsh conditions can be, it can be placed in external harsh conditions so that the temperature can be measured. Next, we have a digital active power and a temperature sensor. So this is one of the award-winning products of the company. Okay, we can just see a small video of the product. It's quite interesting.
If important to If important equipment loses power, your organization stands to suffer significant losses from both downtime and lost productivity. Unresponsive servers, broken heating or cooling equipment, or even storage freezers that have lost power can spell disaster. There are different ways to monitor the power status of important equipment. Some require you to physically modify the power cable to measure current, while others require you to unplug a critical resource during installation. Neither way is optimal and could even cause damage. If important equipment loses power, your organization stands to suffer significant losses from both downtime and lost productivity. Unresponsive servers, broken heating or cooling equipment, or even storage freezers that have lost power can spell disaster. There are different ways to monitor the power status of important equipment. Some require you to physically modify the power cable to measure current, while others require you to unplug a critical resource during installation. Neither way is optimal and could even cause damage or an outage on its own.
So this
Now
particular
there's a
device
better
can
way to
simply
monitor
be
power.
strapped onto any
Introducing the
AC
new
powered equipment
patent-pending
and gives
active
real-time
power sensor
information
from
on power
AVTECH.
and temperature.
The active
You can
power
see in the
sensor
video.
a must for server monitoring. It will
So you
provide
can
you with
measure the
real-time
temperature
hot aisle
by simply
temperature and
strapping
power
onto the
status,
device.
two critical factors for data center uptime.
You can
The
see
active
you can
power
have
sensor's
multiple
small
such
footprint
sensors
makes
to
it
be
easy to
strapped onto
mount
the electrical
anywhere you
device,
need power
and you can
monitoring,
simply
including
get the
server
temperature
racks,
and the power
IQ or
status of the
electrical
electrical
closets,
equipment.
or even out-of-the-way places like heating or cooling equipment installations. The active power sensor is compatible with all current Room Alert environment monitors, providing you with an easy-to-install option that helps keep your organization up and running. The all-new active power sensor is made in the USA and retails for just $95 with bulk packages and discounts available. Remember, the active power sensor and Room Alert are environment monitoring made easy. Don't wait until it's too late. For more information or to contact us,
Okay.
please visit avtech.com. Thank you.
So let's move to the next sensor. We have a digital temperature and a humidity sensor. So in a similar constraint, so we have the humidity part that is being measured in this sensor. Next we have is a digital shielded temperature and a humidity sensor. So in this case, we are able to measure the temperature and the humidity. But if you can see the term here, shielded, so if there is a place where there is high electrical noise, so this particular sensor can be placed in those segments. Digital temperature and analog sensor. So temperature analog sensor. So if we want to understand, okay, the variation, a kind of a graphical representation of temperature with respect to some other constant. So by using this sensor, one is able to get those information. A digital fluid temperature sensor. So digital fluid temperature sensor, okay, it is used to monitor the temperature of the refrigerated items, tracking the temperature of the refrigerated item instead of the surrounding air temperature. So it makes use of a fluid that is propylene glycol that helps us to monitor the temperature of the refrigerated item, mainly suitable for pharma industries, for vaccines, for refrigerated devices, aquariums, etc. Current loop sensor. So current loop sensor, it monitors the electrical current flowing through a single phase powered cable. So when we have a current loop sensor in the system, so what it does, it actually determines the power consumption of an electrical device or the appliance at a facility. So because power outages are the major reason for environment problems, so this plays a very important role to measure the power outages of a device. Next kind of sensors, what we have is the switch sensors. The sensors, what we have seen, those are real time based digital sensors. Now we can look into the switch sensors. Power sensor. Power sensor, this particular sensor is used to monitor the real time recognition of power source. So if you have any kind of power source, if it is going on and off, so that kind of information is given by this sensor. And suppose if the mains are gone away or if it's off, so this particular sensor will give the information that the mains are gone and we have to plan up for a backup, and the backup is already taken in charge. So like it is it is mainly used or installed like if one source fails, then immediately it is informed that the backup supply has taken over. A mini UPS power sensor, almost the same, but you can see there are three batteries that are provided inside the system. Okay, so these batteries, they form as a backup. So if the main system goes off, So these batteries play a very important role to provide a backup for next 15 minutes, so that whatever kind of actions that you want to take at those moment, those actions can be completed and we can move forward. It gives a kind of a backup. So it is much better than your traditional UPS because it's quite compact in size, and you can place in those areas where the traditional UPS is not accommodate. It can't be accommodated. It's small, it's weight sensitive, it can be used in remote locations where standard models are difficult to accommodate. Flood sensor. Now, flood sensor, this is a switch sensor. So once the liquid is detected, the flood sensor triggers an alarming condition and necessary corrective action can be taken from the room alert equipment and systems. Very similar function to that, we have a flood spot sensor, same function. Next we have is a smoke sensor. So real-time recognition of smoke or fire. So these are specially designed electronics and powered by a 9-volt alkaline battery. The model has a bright escape light and a loud buzzer that are triggered when the sensor is activated. Airflow sensor. So real-time recognition of airflow stoppage. Typical use to monitor the flow of air that is present in a, suppose if we take an example of an HVAC unit, so we can measure the flow of air that is coming in and out of the system. Next, we have a room entry sensor. From the name itself, we can understand. So this can be placed at the entry point of any door or a cabinet. So if a person is entering into the system or a cabinet is opened or closed, so those kind of information one is able to receive through these sensors. Motion sensor. Motion sensor, this is a switch sensor with some advanced electronics. The motion sensor is powered by a 12-volt DC power supply, and it is designed to detect movement up to 35 feet away with a cone coverage of approx 84-degree wide. Fuel tank level sensor or a water tank level sensor. So this particular sensor is used to measure the level of a liquid inside a container. So let's see, like there is a float arrangement and there is a counterweight arrangement. So the weight actually goes down and the float remains on the surface. So there is a kind of dual point switch system, a differential height that is measured. So the float and the counterweight system actually measures the height of the liquid in the container with a dual point switch and the differential height system. Relay switch sensor. So the relay switch sensor, it is used to toggle low voltage devices. You can say toggling means on and off, subjected to a particular event out of an alarming condition. Suppose if there is an alarming condition and if we want to toggle out those devices, so low voltage electrical devices can be toggled out in those alarming situations. So there are 4 different outputs and we can toggle out 4 different electrical devices that are connected to it. So the users can connect it to a generator. We can connect it to backup for an HVAC unit or an water pump to turn it on and off based on an alert condition. Some important points that we would like to convey at this point. So one can connect any third-party sensors also, so that one can monitor relay or output module status of any fire panel, can monitor relay status of VESDA, can monitor on-off drip status of HVAC, PAC systems, can monitor on-off drip status of DG, can monitor any other panels sensor with NONC outputs. Accessories. So iBoot IO. iBoot IO, it toggles out an electrical device on or off based on the alert or any specific environment monitoring conditions. So if there is any sort of outrage, let's say there is a power outrage or a temperature outrage, it can immediately on or off the electrical device that is connected to it. It eliminates the physical interaction. Okay. And yeah, so that you can quickly connect it without involving an electrician and all. So it's very simple to use. Next we have is iBoot G2S. It can automatically reboot an external device based on the alert. So the device allows quickly to reboot an external device, okay, based on the alert. So there is also no, we don't have to modify, or there is no physical change that is required at the power cord. It's quite simple to operate. Light tower audio is one of the, you can say, wonderful device or equipment, I can say. So in case of an alarming or alert condition, if we want to have much more capabilities to the alarming condition, if you want to have some voice alarming signals, or if you want to have visual signals, so this particular device will give us voice alarms, okay, at the same time visual lights that can be flashed at the time of alarming conditions. It will enhance your alerting capabilities, and one can take corrective action. Okay, so when the sensors are triggered, this particular alarming signals will be functioned. You will be able to hear some messages or voices, or you can see some lights that are flashing out depending upon the conditions that are there. GSM modem. The GSM modem USB connection allows to send text messages or alerts via a room alert equipment. So when this particular device is connected to a room alert equipment, so you will be able to send some text messages remotely. So if you want to perform some actions that are remotely shut down, okay, if you want to have shut down a system remotely, or scripted action responses to be performed remotely, so this particular device will play a very important role. So let's look at the polling part. Let's look at the answers. So digital active power temperature sensor is a real time based sensor. Current loop sensor is used to measure power outage of an electrical device, which sensor gives a backup power of 15 minutes to the system. We have a mini UPS power sensor. Smoke sensors, motion sensor, and room entry sensors are switch based sensors. Is it possible to connect third party sensors with room alert equipment? Yes. Which equipment provides audio visual signals during alert? It's light tower audio. Let's go to the room alert equipment. Okay. So this is the room alert equipment where we have seen all the sensors and the accessories that are connected to this room alert equipment. Okay. So room alert, okay, we can just see it. Okay, I'll just show you. Room Alert 32S. It stands for RA32S. So room stands for R, alert stands for A. So we have 32 sensors. This particular device is capable to accommodate 32 sensors. It has all the certifications. It is SSL certified. It has all the safety standards and conformity standards. Okay, let's look at the construction. Now this particular device consists of 16 switch sensor. So we have seen all those sensors, right? We have seen a flood sensor, we have seen current sensors, we have seen all those sensors. So the switch sensors can be connected to these green points. Okay, and this is the digital sensor. This is the black color. If you can see here, this is the black color point. So all the digital sensors can be connected to this point. So there is an on off button, reset button, main power port, relay output. There is a built-in UPS status indicator that provides backup of up to 15 minutes. Suppose if the mains are gone off, so this will provide a backup for the next 15 minutes so that you can take your corrective actions within that time scale. It also has a built-in temperature sensor. Okay, and this is one of the flagship models of AVTECH room alert equipment. So it consists of a power over Ethernet feature, also a 5-volt power adapter. Very similar to a Room Alert 32S, we have a Room Alert 32E. So except that this particular device is not SSL certified, the remaining features of the product remains exactly the same. So you have switch sensors, you have digital sensors, you have the ports, relay outputs, everything is there. So the device remains completely the same. Going forward, we will be able to see such models, but the only difference will be the accommodation of the sensors, which will be reduced. Next we have is a Room Alert 12S, or you can say Room Alert 12SR. So the R stands for the rack arrangement of the device. So this particular device is capable to accommodate 12 plus sensors. And this is also SSL certified. It means it has all the safety certifications with it. It has an internal temperature sensor, but it has no built-in power or a UPS sensor. It has 3 digital sensor ports. So you can see there's a 3 digital sensor ports. You have 4 switch sensor ports. You can see the count. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 4 switch sensor ports. We have an analog port and we have a relay port. We have the power port also. Exactly the same thing. All the sensors can be connected to this particular room alert equipment based on your requirement, and you will be able to monitor the environment conditions. So we have a rack model, rack mounting based, and we have a table mounting model. Exactly same to the Room Alert 12S, we have Room Alert 12E, except that the SS certification is not present. If you can see here, this is SSL certified. So this particular device doesn't have that SSL certification. Rest all the features remains the same. Room Alert 4E or 4R. So based on this count, one can easily identify the number of sensors that the particular device can accommodate. So earlier what we have seen is like 12S, 12R, 32S, 32R. So based on the count, so we have 4 here, so we can accommodate 4 plus sensors. Rest all the features remains the same. It can only use adapter here. There is no power over Ethernet. It has 2 digital sensor port, 1 switch sensor port, 1 light tower relay port. Next, we have a Room Alert 3E, very much similar to 4E. It has 1 digital sensor port, 1 switch sensor port, and it also has an adapter. It makes use of an internal temperature sensor. Next we have is a Room Alert 3 Wi-Fi. So where power over Ethernet option is not available, okay, or you can say uh, there is no option for PoE. So we can make use of a Wi-Fi option that is provided where cables are not possible to reach out. So at this particular point out, we can make use of Room Alert 3 Wi-Fi. It can monitor temperature plus 2 more environment conditions of your choice. It has, it makes use of adapter. There is a digital sensor port, internal temperature sensor, and a switch sensor port. Yeah, so this is a final, you can see a layout. Okay, So we have a temperature sensor here. So the temperature sensors are connected to these digital sensor ports. Humidity sensors are connected to this point. We have outdoor temperature sensors that are connected at this point. We can see the power sensor. It can also be connected to this point. Switch sensors like this power sensor can be connected to the switch sensor, the green color part. The current loop sensor can be connected to this part, the digital sensor part. Then we can have the flood sensors that are connected to this switch sensor ports. We have light tower audio. So based on your requirement, based on the conditions, what you want to measure or what you want to understand, so it can be customized and it is completely flexible. So at this point, what I would like to convey is that the product is best in its own category. So whenever we try to buy any product or anything, so what we look at some basic things like how safe is the product, what is the quality of the product, whether it's economical or not, and how it can be used, the ease of usage. So all these things are present in this device. It is safe, it has good quality, it is economical, and it is very convenient to use and simple to understand. So this is the part where we have completed with the room alert equipment and all the sensors and the accessories that can be connected to it. The hardware part of the product is completed. So let's look at the polling. So which is the AVTECH flagship environment monitoring equipment that includes all the safety and security features. So we have Room Alert 32S and Room Alert 12S both, which is the AVTEC's most economical environment monitoring equipment with the smallest footprint. So we have Room Alert 3E, Room Alert 3 Wi-Fi, both. In AVTEC's Room Alert equipment RA32S, what does S stand for? S stands for sensors. So we have seen the hardware part of the product. Now let's look at the software part, the device manager. So the device manager plays a very important role in the room alerting capabilities or the room alerting part. So what it does, it gives us all the reports, all the information, whatever things that we have monitored. So all those informations we are able to see, we are able to identify it, understand it, and based on those things, we can take some kind of corrective actions. So it is mainly used for discovery management. It is used for monitoring, alerting, logging, graphing, and to take some kind of automatic corrective action. It is available for download. It is free for customers with a professional or a higher account upgrade. There is multi-user access available through device managers web interface accessible from anywhere. So these, if you can see this window over here, so we have four different quadrants. We have the first quadrant, we have the second, we have third, and we have the fourth quadrant here. So the temperatures, you can see like how temperature is measured, varied with respect to a time constant over here or any other constant. So we can understand the temperature of a device. Okay. So here we have the room alert equipment 32. So that is used here. We have an AC unit that is connected. So those information can be gathered here. So we can get a graphical representation of the data that we would like to see, we would like to understand, okay, we would like to monitor. And finally, we can take some practical decision based on the data that we have. So we have the kind of alert counts that are there. So suppose if we have one alert count, we have five alert counts, we have three alert counts or four alert counts. So if there is any sort of problems, so those problems are like counted here. So which equipment is used? So we have a room alert 32 equipment. So that particular equipment is used against which device, all those information is gathered here. So you can also get the humidity information of that particular device that is connected. So humidity, we can also look out the devices that are connected. Also, we can see in the fourth quadrant here, the kind of information that is sent. I mean, when the information is sent, what kind of corrective actions have been taken by the IT manager, and what are the different number of counts that the alert equipment has provided. All these information is continuously given. So you can get daily reports, you can get weekly reports, monthly reports from this system. So it's like continuously you are empowering your business. It's like always like you don't have to think about what is going to happen. You are like continuously empowered, and based on those data, you can take some good decisions. We can see some plugins that are used here. So we have a Windows plugin. So what are these plugins and what are the functions of these plugins? I can give you an idea. So a shutdown plugin. So if we want to remotely access a system, okay, if we want to perform a remote shutdown, if we want to remotely access a system, so all these things can be configured prior. So we can configure by using a password, okay, and a username or password can be there, and we can configure it. Like at this particular time, we need to have a shutdown for these number of computers. So if there are 10 number of computers that are available in the system, and if we need to shut down only 5 number of computers, so remotely we are able to perform this action. So based on the configuration that we are doing in the beginning. So in a very similar fashion, you can reboot a system, you can log off a system. Command operations can be performed. Command means certain kind of scripted action responses, certain kind of commands if you want to deliver based on the alert conditions. So all these kind of actions, it depends the kind of alert. Okay, suppose if there is a temperature alert, so it needs to be shut down, we can shut down. If there is a power outage, if it needs to be rebooted, it can be rebooted. So based on the alert conditions, it can be configured, okay, in the, I mean, the information, and then finally the necessary action takes place at the time of alert. Audible action, this particular, like if it is designed to speak the alert text or play a sound file to the device manager host system. So one can create the configuration, I mean we can create a notification list that will cause the Windows audible action to perform when the alert is detected. The action will use the speakers connected to the device manager host system to speak the alert text. So if we want to hear what kind of alert is generated, so those kind of information we can hear through this audible action plugin. In a very similar fashion, it can also be used for Unix Linux system. So what are the plugins we have? We have a shutdown plugin, similar way, a reboot plugin, and a command plugin. Next plugin what we have is a dial-out text. So it makes use of a tap service to send out text messages via a modem. So we have seen a sensor, a GSM modem sensor that was earlier an accessory that was there. We have seen it. So this particular modem, it will help you to generate these text messages. Okay, this particular plugin will help you to generate those text messages, and via those modem, okay, you can dial a phone directly and play dial tones remotely. So it makes use of a modem connected to the device manager host system, either to send a text message through the configured tap service or to call a phone directly and play the dial tones depending on the action. Dial out voice. Very similar. So you can also allow users to call a phone and speak the alert text via a voice capable modem. The action will use the modem connected to the device manager host system to dial a phone directly and speak the alert text generated. So whatever kind of alert is generated, if there is a temperature alert generated, if there is a power alert generated, so you can hear a voice related to that alert and you can take the corrective action. GSM text, to send out text messages via a GSM modem remotely across the network. So this can be connected to the device manager to do the needful. Report generator. So the report generator, as we have seen earlier, we can get all the different type of reports, the status, the updates, the advanced statistics, okay, of the environment conditions of the different data centers. So unlimited number of reports are available. We have a daily, weekly report, we have a monthly report, and it's quite flexible. So the time period, the number of devices that are connected to it, equipments connected, all those information you are able to receive through this report generator plugin. So the plugins are ideally used when conditions in a data center environment turn fatal for computer systems. And it is quite expensive, like the IT equipment, like extreme temperature, extreme humidity, main power loss for other conditions. So device manager and the plugins together play a very important role in environment monitoring conditions. Next, we can look at this particular technology. It's AVTEC's 360 TM monitor technology. It's very simple to understand. So if you can see, here we have three different temperature sensors. We can take an example of three different temperature sensor. We already know about the average, medium, minimum, and maximum. Okay, we understand these terms, right? So what is this average? So suppose we can take an example of 900 square feet room, and if one temperature sensor is placed at 300 square feet, the other temperature sensor is placed at the next 300 square feet apart, and the next is placed at next 300 square feet. So the kind of temperature, it actually doesn't remain the same everywhere. There are certain changes, okay? So if we want to understand the average temperature of the 900 square feet room, through this arrangement we can understand. If we want to understand the minimum temperature, we can understand. We can also get the maximum reading through these arrangements. So we can get multiple alerts of the thing, and we can also get a single alert based on this combination. Now we can see the difference between the readings. Okay, let's say, take an example of an HVAC unit. Okay, and if there is like one sensor that is placed at the beginning of the unit and one at the very much end. So if you want to understand the temperature difference, so with this combination, we can also understand the difference between the sensor readings. We can create single alert for multiple sensors. So if we have a digital active power sensor, we have an airflow sensor here, and we have a temperature sensor here. So when these three different sensors are placed, and instead of having separate individual alerts, we can have one collective alert, a single alert for multiple sensors. So this is like, it gives each room alert user the ability to create their own virtual sensors, alerts, and reports using countless combinations. So we can have countless combinations. It's completely flexible and customizable based on the user's requirement. Let's look at the polling pot at this point. So, what is the purpose of a device manager and plugin? To notify alerts for statistics, to notify actions performed, all of the above. What are the actions performed by a Windows plugin? We have a shutdown, we have a reboot, log off, command, audible action, all of the above. Yeah. So we have seen a person in the beginning. His name was Sachin, and like today, after using AVTECH, okay, after using AVTECH in his business, so he's telling that he's very lucky to have AVTECH in the business, and is thanking Terminal X for such a wonderful solution. So what he says, you can stay online and open for business. You can reduce or eliminate downtime. Know immediately if and when the problems arise. Maintain maximum energy and resource efficiency. Protect and extend the life of equipment, product, and property. So this is all about the room alert equipments, environment monitoring, why it was required. So I believe you have got some idea about environment monitoring conditions, where it is applicable and how it can be used, and what are the different equipments, sensors, and accessories that supports the room alert equipment. So if you have any queries, we can have a questionnaire session also. Uh, Over to you, Clary madam.
Yes, thank you, Rahul. Participants, you can put in any of your questions in the question and answer section, and the panelists will be answering it. So thank you once again, Rahul, for the wonderful presentation. As Rahul said, Terminal X is into distribution, and we are not a box selling company, but a value added distributor. Artificial intelligence, vision science are the key differentiations of Terminal X. In fact, we are the first national value added distributor in India who works with customized artificial intelligence solutions. So here you can see on your screen the first two pictures of the shopping mall where artificial intelligence is used to classify the crowd on the basis of their gender, age, expressions, emotions, whether they are in groups or as singles or couples and so on. So based on this, the appropriate advertisements, the appropriate products can be displayed in the malls. The third picture you can see is an access control, which again has a value added of artificial intelligence to monitor if the person should be given access based on his uniform or safety equipments like safety helmets, jackets, etc. Which means the access control system will not allow the person if the PPT is not complied. In the next picture, we can see we have the signages, that is digital lap curved screens. We have partnered with LG for all kinds of solutions. The value added here is that it is based on the crowd in a shopping mall where the customers' age, gender, and other specifications are taken into consideration, and based on that, the advertisements and the of the different products would be displayed on the screen. We also have then 200 20 plus vision science based softwares systems which have the added value. Here you can see an example that is of an intrusion detection based on AI, artificial intelligence. For example, you can see if the device will be able to identify the kind of intrusion that is happening, whether it is an animal, if it's an animal, whether it is a wild animal in a resort, if it is a animal which is not going to cause any harm, and based on that, the alarms would be set in place. We also have all kinds of audio solutions, that is analog, digital, and IP solutions. We are partnered with DSPPA, one of the global leaders in PA industry. So in the upcoming days, we will also be conducting webinars for all of these segments. In case of any queries or trainings, technology, resale, support, customer meeting, or a dedicated webinar for your company, don't hesitate to contact us. You can write to us at sales@terminalx.co.in or enquiry@terminalx.co.in or support@terminalx.co.in. You can also call us on the given number, that is 8686337878. So Mr. FB Joseph, Managing Director, and the entire team would be here to help you so that you can add value to your customers. I hope this was a fruitful session for all of you. Thank you for joining in. You may put in your questions in the question and answer section. Have a good evening, all of you. Once again, thank you so much for joining in. Looking forward to connect with you. Thank you.